quilty friends, it's Carolina Moore, your favorite sewing and quilting YouTuber, and today's the day we get to launch the jewelry patterns. Patterns with an S, and we will explain why, and I will show you all of these patterns, and I'm so excited. I've been teasing this for weeks by wearing quilted jewelry in quite a few of my videos. I teased it last month when I launched the label organizer and jewelry organizer display quilts. And now today is the day we get to launch all of this. There's so much. All right, let's jump right into it. So first, there are 3 patterns. That's right, 3 jewelry patterns. I'll explain why in a little bit, that are launching all at once. All 3 jewelry patterns have 8 different designs. 8 different designs in them for making your own quilted jewelry. And a lot of these different things you can like mix and match to make more than 8 designs, but 8 different designs. Each of the patterns has in them a page that you can photocopy, or pages that you can photocopy, and also printable, like a QR code, so that you can print out all of the designs. They are foundation paper pieced because they're so small. You want them foundation paper pieced. If you've never done foundation paper piecing before, I have a video that will teach you basic foundation paper piecing. We will do videos where we will make this jewelry together. It really, you can do it. You can do it. I promise you can do it. And you want to do it when it's piecing this small, because you don't want to be dealing with tiny little pieces. So it is foundation paper piece. There's a couple tools that you'll want for foundation paper piecing. We will talk about those when we talk about foundation paper piecing, but today we're talking about quilted jewelry. I like to print them out onto the newsprint style paper. I will have links below of some different newsprint style papers that you can purchase. And you print them out, then you can cut them out and you can sew right on there and make the cutest quilted jewelry. Y'all, your scraps, oh my gosh, your scrap pile, it won't get any smaller because it uses such tiny pieces, but you're going to be digging into that scrap pile and finding those fabrics that you haven't used in years and getting to enjoy them all over again by making these quilted jewelry pieces. We're going to get into the actual jewelry designs. This is volume 1, and volume 1 was the first one that I did. I hadn't planned on doing more, and it's lots of traditional shapes. So this is a tiny little log cabin. Yes, those are little 1/4-inch pieces. Yes, they look crazy. No, they're not actually crazy because it's foundation paper piece. You're not dealing with little less than an inch pieces. You'll have bigger pieces, and it's all sewn down onto foundation. These are little tiny economy blocks, and yes, of course, I did little fussy cut centers because of course I did. This is a fun little triangle, and the great thing about the fussy cut parts, so these pieces are the very first piece you put down. It makes it very easy to fussy cut, even if you're a new foundation paper piecer. These little penguins are the first piece you put down, so very easy to fussy cut a design into there. These ones I love. These are flying geese, and they have little hearts in them. I need to make more of this design. Maybe we'll do that one in the first video. More of this design because it is just so fun, and it is a nice long earring. I love a long earring. These ones are larger hearts. There are smaller hearts in one of the other patterns because I get more requests for hearts. This is kind of like a double diamond. This one is a fun little triangle. This one, just 3 fabrics, y'all. 3 fabrics. This one's 3 pieces, just 2 fabrics. So some of them very simple. And then these ones, these are 5 pieces each. And you can just make 1, but I made 4 so that I can have 2 and 2, and I could get like a little bit of a dangly earring going on. So this is volume 1. Volume 1 is the simplest, most straightforward of all of the designs. It has a lot of great versatility in here. So this is volume 1 of the quilted jewelry. For volume 2, I decided to have some fun and start playing with curves. Now this is not curved foundation paper piecing, y'all. I would not do curved foundation paper piecing to y'all. That's craziness. It's curves when it's finished. So you're not actually doing any curved sewing or any curved quilting. Yes, this is a circle. There isn't a circle in the middle. It's actually a square in the middle, but I found a fun circle fabric that I used, a dot for my center on these. So there's no circular piecing. So almost all of these designs have curves, and yes, you can turn these into necklaces. This one reminds me of a little bit of an avocado just because of the colors that I chose, but it's got a fun like jewel design here. This is a really fun design that I see a lot made in clay earrings, so of course I had to make them out of fabric because this was all making things out of fabric. This is like a bowl design that you can do this way or this way when you put them into jewelry. And you can see there's a big bowl, but there's also a little bowl. And with the little bowl, I did this where I added the chain, and now it becomes a more dangly earring. This is something also where you could stack these two on top of one another. So I could add a loop and then have this one dangle underneath for something more interesting. I could do it the other way around with the big one chained on top with a small one underneath. There's so many ways that you can customize these for yourself. This one I made into a zipper pull with the small lobster clasp, and this is for a bag charm with the large lobster clasp. And this is 5 pieces, 1 on the bottom and then 4 across the top. And then this is the one not curved, but this is a little bit, I don't know that it's advanced, it's just a lot of little pieces. This is the one not curved in volume 2, and it's just little braid earrings, and these are so fun. I want to make more of these ones as well. I love long earrings. I'm a long earrings girl. All right, so that's volume 2. For volume 3, I thought, what kind of earrings do we want, and what would we make as gifts? What would we want to give to friends? What would we want to make for ourselves? And definitely holiday earrings. So I did all of the holidays that I could think of all in one pattern. So again, 8 different designs in each pattern. All of these are in one single pattern for you. So obviously we're going to have our Christmas holiday with our little evergreen trees. We just had Easter here. These are fun little Easter eggs that have little zigzag in them. This is super fun because for Thanksgiving and all of our pie holidays, we needed little pie slices. How fun would those be to wear to any holiday dinner? Now, these ones are all single unit pieces, and I'll talk about what that means in a second. These are a little more complicated patterns. So this is foundation paper piecing with multi-unit pieces. These are little ghosties, and this is how big it is in the palm of my hand. So it's 1.5 inches by, I think, 2 or 2.5 inches. Actually, hold on, we have a cutting mat right here. We'll look. It's 1.5 by 2.25 on the little ghosties. So they are small. Also, I did these little cupcakes because who doesn't want birthday cupcakes? And these can be made into like zipper pulls to add onto a zipper bag. I love gifting zipper bags, and I did them in 2 different colorways because I loved finding little fabrics that mimic sprinkles on the tops of these little cupcakes. Then, of course, I was asked about stars. Now, this is also another 2-part pattern where you make this top, and the top is actually 3 parts, and then you make the bottom and it's 1 part. So if you just wanted the stars and not the stripes, you absolutely can just make that part of the pattern where it's just the stars and not the stripes, or you can make a full US patriotic design. And then I did these mini hearts, and this one I made into a bracelet charm. And if you wanted to make the mini hearts, you can attach them like this with mini stripes, or you can do what I did here and have them be dangly. You can also make this be dangly where your star is up here and then your stripes are dangling below. But you can make dangly earrings with your different stars and stripes. You could also do that with the ghosties and have your ghost be sections that are dangling. They would be really small sections. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that, but you absolutely can. And then I wanted something that was like Mother's Day, and so I made these tulips for like a Mother's Day design. All right, I want to show you what some of those foundation papers look like. So this is the ghost, and it's made in 3 sections, and then you just sew those sections together. This was that kind of avocado shaped teardrop. It's all done as one piece, and then you're not sewing curves until you're finishing it up. So it's the equivalent of like adding curved corners on your quilts instead of doing traditional like mitered corners on your quilts. Same with this is the circle, and you see it's not a circle until you're trimming it out and finishing it up. These are the pieces for that star and stripe. So you have the top of the star, the bottom of the star, this is the middle right and the middle left, and then you have those stripes at the bottom. So this is one earring, and then here are all the same pieces for the other earring. The tulip is also done in 2 parts. So volume 3 does have some more complicated pieces, but it has, I mean, the pie has tiny little piecing, which would probably make it a little more complicated, But something like the egg, even though it's curved, this is fairly simple piecing. I'd also consider this circle one to be simple piecing, even though there's that circle at the end, because you're not doing any curved piecing. That makes it so much easier. And then here's that heart where you can make just the heart. And then here's the stripes that you can do separate, similar to that big star. You could make just your star pieces and not make the stripe. Now, why am I launching 3 patterns all at once? It seems a little crazy. The reason is because I love quilt shops. When I was at QuiltCon, a friend of mine asked if I was going to offer the jewelry findings, the hardware that's attached to actually turn these tiny mini quilts into necklaces, earrings, bracelets, zipper pulls, bag charms, all of that. And I hadn't originally planned on it. I'd written 1 pattern and I wasn't going to add those things on. But I want shops to be able to offer you everything that you need. And I want you to be able to get everything that you need right at your quilt shop. So I put together jewelry sets with all the jewelry findings that you need to be able to make all of these different designs. But because I needed to offer them in both silver and gold, it started to become a lot of items, and I didn't want shops to feel like they had to carry all of these items for just 1 jewelry pattern. So that's why I made 3 different jewelry patterns. So the 3 jewelry patterns and all these different hardware sets all go together, and I got you a notion as well, and we're going to talk about that one in a second. All right, so let's talk about the jewelry hardware. And we have earring wires. This is 3 pairs of earring wires plus the jump rings that you need to attach them. And so it has just 3 pairs of earring wires. This is enough for anyone who wants to pick up that pattern and just make a couple units. And of course I have it in silver and I have them in gold as well, so that you have 2 different options. Then I wanted a set with a bunch of different things. So here we have our jewelry finding set in both silver and in gold, and we'll open that up so that you can see what's inside. So this is a set which gives you a lot of variety in here. We have a pair of earring wires. We have 3 lobster clasps, and these are so that you can either turn this chain into a necklace, or you can turn it into multiple bracelets, or you can use these as zipper pulls. So this gives you a lot of different options. And then you have some jump rings for your earring wires and for your lobster clasps. And also you have your jewelry chain so that you can either make those really fun earrings that I had that were the dangly earrings. You can turn this into a necklace. It's a nice length for a necklace. You just add a lobster clasp on one side and a jump ring on the other side to make it easy to close. So then you have a nice necklace chain. Or you can cut this into pieces and make a couple bracelets out of it. So those are the earring wires in both silver and gold, and the jewelry findings in both silver and gold. And then one more, and this is just in silver because I think everyone's okay with this just in silver. These are large lobster clasps, and these are designed to be purse charms. So when you have hardware on your bags and purses, you can attach one of these large lobster clasps, and now you can attach a charm right on your purse, and you can use these as purse charms. All right, so we have 3 patterns. We have 5 sets of jewelry findings or jewelry hardware, and then we have a new notion for y'all. The new notion was inspired by my pattern testers, and it's called the ball point turning tool. The #1 piece of feedback that I got back from my pattern testers was that when they're poking out the corners on these tiny little quilts, they wanted something to be able to poke them out and make them nice and smooth. And so I designed this tool. Tiny little tool. On each end it has a ball point, and that ball point is important. It's not sharp, so it's not going to poke through those corners as long as you're careful. There is a larger on one end and a little bit smaller on the other end, but they're not too tiny to slip between stitches, but they are small enough to really get nice crisp corners on poking out those corners. So you can see I was able to get some really beautiful corners on my projects by using the ball point turning tool to really poke out all of those corners. It also works really great on the curved pieces when you're going in and rolling it around those curves to be able to get nice curves to get beautiful finished shapes. So there we have it, friends. Yes, you can buy them from me in my shop, but I encourage you to run to your local quilt shop, asked them about carrying the new jewelry patterns, as well as the jewelry findings, the jewelry hardware kits, and the new ballpoint turning tool, which is not just great for these patterns, but is great for so many things that you want to turn right side out. You're going to be seeing this in more videos, and we'll be talking about this tool specifically in another video next week. So I can't wait to talk to you more about that. Friends, let me know what you think about this down in the comments. Make sure to send this video to your friends and to your favorite local quilt shop. And I can't wait to see all the fun, tiny mini quilts that you turn into jewelry over the next coming weeks, months, and years. That's it for today, my friends. I will see you right here real soon. Bye for now.